we are talking about idolatry from chapter 1, this miraculous chapter 1. What is an idol? Idol, I think idol, but an American idol, is something that you really adore, fascinated with, or chanted by it. Something that you chanted so much that you will actually worship it. That's the definition of idol. So idol actually is a passionate fascination. It's emotional. It's emotional level. I mean, it's emotional reaction to something that you love. So idolatry, in that sense, is not just an intellectual error. You know, we say idolatry, so far we talked about idolatry, God is 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, it's intellectual things. But idolatry is actually being fascinated by something so much that you adore it. Here I want to make a difference. In let's say the man history, men offered the sacrifice to all kind of spirit in the wood, or trying to scare them away. But that's not what we are talking about. That's a superstition. But the idolatry here in our context is something that you think that is powerful so much that he made us, that he created the universe. And that's what we would call an idol in the context of what Moses is talking about. So we're not talking about foolish superstition about spirit of the wood, that I want to please them, or my parental spirit, like the Chinese put a status in a backyard to the father spirit will protect him. That's not what we're talking about. That's superstition that usually goes away as mankind progress. But we're talking about error in the concept of a creation, of a creator. So it's I would say then, idolatry in the context of the Torah is a error in the identification of identifying our creator, an error, a logical error. I may think that this and this God created the universe, like the Egyptian thought or Babylonian thought, a story of creation by a certain God. So that's not like a superstition, that's a kind of misidentifying the creator. Error in identification, but it's also a passionate emotional concept, or let's say emotional facet of idolatry, which is actually more important. So because they relate to a false idol, the hallmark of false idolatry is usually a passionate worship. People are, if you remember the story of Elijah in the Mount of Carmel, so those who worship the Baal, they describe how they scratch the skin, and they shouted and cried, and they beat themselves. So that's kind of passionate orgy for the Baal. The people who worship Hashem never do that, because you are not passionate in that way to the truth. If I tell you the truth today is Monday, nothing passionate about it. But if you make something typical for idolatry is a passion. In fact, the more primitive this idolatry is, the more passionate it is. And passionate means, it's like we'll talk about it. Passion, don't look, Rabbi Cook usually used to say, Chief Rabbi of Israel, that don't look at the idol worshiper as something below you. they have an error in identifying the God, and they misdirect the emotion and the passion to the wrong way. Okay. So that's what I want to focus now. I think that facet of idolatry, the emotional part, is actually the most important part of idolatry. That's actually, you can identify idolatry by that passion. Because Adam is also born, Adam is born to seek God and to be passionate about God too. So Adam is born with this passion implanted in us to seek God and to be fascinated by him and to worship him. On the other hand, we have this same passion and we can misdirect the same passion and the same thrill towards the idol. How can I identify the truth? How can I distinguish between these two? Wonderful idea is to look what happens. It's very difficult to describe in the words. There's no law that if you see what is really the difference between this passion and that passion. After all, nun who pray to the cross, she is very passionate about it. And also the idol worshiper, actually, they believe in their God, so very passionate about it. But there is one thing that you can use, one advice that you can use to distinguish between the two. First of all, it's not true for Christianity, of course, but usually the passion, the worship of idols in the past was always associated, also in the present, it's always associated with the wild orgy in sexual decay. Why? Because remember, if you violate idolatry, you really stumble and fall down to adultery. And from adultery, you will fall down to bloodshed. And for bloodshed, you will fall down to theft. So the cascades start to work. Think about this guru, or think about him, the Rajneesh in California, in our time, just a few years ago. So these kids that flocked to him in a plant in California, as you know, if you remember. The Sheila, she was on the news all day long, everywhere. So they really worshiped the guru. They didn't believe in the Bible. They prostrated to him. He was their God. Very soon, they were fascinated by wild sex. If you want to see wild sex X parties, watch what they film. It's on YouTube. But they made they filmed their own orgies. It's unbelievable, wild, and I cannot even talk about it. So from idolatry, they stumbled to adultery, passionate adultery. What passion? They shouted, and they felt good about it. That's really, so if you feel good about something, it doesn't mean that it's right. It can be a false idol. If you are passionate about it, you feel good about it. Oh, I feel so good when I pray to this idol. You mislead. That's right, but you made an error. This idol is worthless. So don't judge the idol by the level of your passion and by the level of your emotion that are incited by this idol. Don't say, because I feel so good, I love everybody around me. So that's a sign that this idol is true. No, because the two paths, worshiping God and worshiping idol, follow the same passion, or not the same, God forbid, but similar cascade of passion, but the worshiping idols usually were followed by adultery. And back to the story of the guru, ended up as killing. They were murdering there. And finally, there was theft. This wonderful Sheila, she was on TV, flowers and loving anyone. She ran away with a theft. She stole all his money, of the guru money, tons of very expensive watch. And he actually left almost barefoot. He had to leave back to India. He came back poor to India. All the money that he made, she took away, theft. So here is a cascade working for you to see, oh, now I know, since I saw, if you see somebody worshiping God, or you think it's God, and he is corrupt with adultery, you better be prepared that you will fall, that this person will finally continue to fall down to bloodshed, God forbid, and then theft, and then going down to injustice and blasphemy and so on. So here is a way to distinguish between the two paths. And that's so important to be aware of it when we talk about idolatry. So it's not just intellectual exercise. God is 1, 2, or 3. The Rabbi really didn't pay attention to that part so much, especially when he talked to Noahide. You only need to know, but, well, that's not as important as what comes next. And the next comes the passion and what involved the deterioration into, if you commit adultery or idolatry, you will pay for it because you will continue to slide down the 7th commandment of Noah, 6th commandment of Adam. So we need to be aware of it. Now the question is, fine, you look at me and ask me, you can ask, well, Rabbi, where is it in the text? I hear you, but what are you talking about? It is in the text. Because idolatry, the whole issue of idolatry is, as we talked last time, when was idolatry born into the world? According to Moses, according to chapter 1, at the moment that Elohim descended from his high pedestal of supreme tyranny, judge, as he created the world 6 days with a tyrant. He consulted no one, he just gave commandment, nobody dared to reject him or disobey. He would be wiped out in a minute. So when this same Elohim stepped down from a throne to become the king who consult, speaking in plural, to our benefit, because we can live only with the free will that we have. We need to have the option to err. So I don't expect that if I make a sin, a thunder will fall from the sky and strike me down right away. Because we live now under Elohim, who is more tolerant. He's more democratic. He allows you free will. And he wait for you. He tell you, you sin, you can repent, because he made another concession. He also ordered the merciful one to join him. But the moment he spoke in plural, although he made a good concession to mankind, but the angel asked him, remember the story, Rashi said, our king, what are you doing? Are you not aware that by speaking in plural, you open the door for idolaters to think that there are more than one? So here is a logical error. The angels referred, according to Rashi, the idolater will think there is more than one. That's a logical error. But there's also emotional component here. Because when God says, let us make Adam in our form, in our image, in our form and image, again, the same Rashi explained to you there are many explanations what is God's image and form here. But in our context, in the context of idolatry that we are learning now, we follow what Rashi is saying. And Rashi is saying, when God said those words, let us make Adam in our form, in our image. Well, God doesn't have form and image. So he is not talking about himself, that he has a body and form and image. He had on his mind, Rashi said, a picture, or let us make Adam in the form and image that I have in my mind for him. I have an image of Adam and a form of Adam that I would like Adam to become, you know what, Adam should become very good. So I have this very good Adam in my mind and I want to teach him how to get there. So Adam will be made to be like that image, which means by definition that Adam will seek the Creator, because we want to know, in order to be like him, to be like that image, we need to seek the God. We need to know who identify God and be like him. And we need to learn what he's doing to be like him. So, so he planted in that moment, he planted in us the desire to look for that image, to look not for him. I cannot never be the Creator, but I can be like that image that the Creator had on his mind. And I like, and I will born into this task, into this charter of mankind, to become that image of what God told us to be very good. That's journey, that's the seeking God to become his image and to learn how to evolve, to become that. We are right now, we are not that image and form. We need to be very good at the end of our judgment. So we need to develop. We are making ourselves. We are improving ourselves by learning. That's why given the Torah, it's a process. It's not going to make us automatically very good. God won't do that, because we need to remember. We talk about the merciful. I close the door. So that journey is up to us to fulfill. We allow the merciful into our hearts to become very good, united. So it's a learning process, and we need the passion. So he planted to us the desire, the passion of being fascinated by him, by this image, to seek it. Otherwise, we sit idle. If we are not attracted, if we are not looking where is God, I would just sit by the beach and eat kind of a chopped liver. Why should I seek God? But we cannot escape it. God implanted in us, Rabbi Cook said, the desire, the passion to seek God, both intellectually and also be fascinating by him, because this will pull us forward. Okay, so here is idolatry planted in us in these two facets, emotional and intellectual. And that's so either we are attracted and be fascinated by him and seek him, or if we fail, we are attracted and be fascinated by others. So he implanted in us also the desire or the option to fall a prey to the idols. So you see it in the Ten Commandments, we talk about it. Ten Commandments presents, number one, God, and number two, the idols. So man is in between. and that the man is standing the battle of fascination, battle of attraction. Either I am attracted to God above me, who presented in commandment number 1, or I fall a prey to the idols because they attract me too, to their side. So it's a battle of fascination. Can I escape it? Moses says no. I cannot be neutral. Men cannot be neutral. We are born to face this battle of idolatry all our life. You think you are neutral, but if you abandon God, one of the idols will catch you. You surely fall a prey to the idol. Well, idols here are not stone woods, foolish idols. We talk about what kind of idols you can fall into, can attract you. Idolatry is much more than just a stone and wood picture, foolish stuff. Idolatry is something that encompasses all our life. That the idols can fascinate us all our life. It can be political party, it can be wine, it can be drugs, it can be many things we talk about. All that is implanted in us, in our creation, this battle. You ask me why? Why do we need it? Well, the good God couldn't, a very common question, a good God could just leave us alone and make us just to enjoy life? No, because it's not a good God who made us. Elohim made us, Elohim. If Peter, Elohim is a judge, and he made us to stand the judgment. So we are here to have a lot of fun, but we stay in judgment for that. As the book there, enthusiastic says. All right, so now they come to the major question, talking to the angels. The angels said they worry that people will, speaking plural, God, and people will think that more than one God created them. So obviously, who are these idols that the angels fear that Adam will be following certain idol, center other God, that instead of the good God, instead of the real God. So obviously those idols that they had in mind, in their mind, the archangel, are those entities with whom Elohim consulted. When he said, let us make Adam, he spoke to many entities there. So each entity, in the eyes of the angel, each entity can be a source of idolatry. Because after all, this entity participated in our making. So it's obvious that the idolater will think, oh, this is powerful entity, and I'm attracted to, maybe I should worship her, or him, or it. So by definition, all these entities that God consulted with, speaking plural, by making Adam, each one of them is a potential idol. Well, you think it's a small statement. And I'm telling you, we are here talking about the Torah, about God-given book. And every statement we say here is a whole universe, is a biblical proportion. So when I say that each entity is going to be our idol, it turned out this is a major statement. It's really have an insight to the future of mankind, because all these entities that God consulted with making us, all of them without exception, not only became source of idolatry, but they dictated mankind had to kind of pass the test through all of them. We'll see how. This statement I make, I have to prove it to you, and you will see. And you will be amazed, again, this miraculous chapter of chapter 1. It's unbelievable. I've already seen that he's so accurate in telling what happened in the past. In the creation, it's compared to the History Channel there, the days we talk about how accurate Moses is. Now, Moses is very accurate also talking about the idols, because each potential idol became and still is a potential idol when it dictated our history, mankind history. You will see this statement is true. So each, again, who are the potential idols that the angel were worried about, that Adam will care? Obviously, all those entities who were in the room are mentioned in chapter 1, without exception. So all of them who were in the room, the 6 days, remember the beginning was there, the spirit, that Elohim spirit of the water was there, the days, 1 day, 2, all the days. These were in the past. And also in the chapter I mentioned something in the future, that after when Elohim said, let us make Adam, then he said he blessed them, be multiply and be fruitful among sex, procreate, and then rule over. So all these specific entities that are mentioned in the chamber are gift from Elohim to us, but they are potential idols. Now let's go as an example for you. Let's go back to what we said last week. Actually, we started a consultation. The series of consultation is we started by the one God, Elohim, look at the end of the day, he said. He invited YHVH, and that's who want to come from the Sabbath, to join him. We saw it in the text, and to make Adam together. And it was a big gift to Adam. Adam will have a chance to win our trial, to see the next day, to be very good. And it's also enhance our life with a new dimension of compassion and mercy and forgiveness and holiness. It's a major concession from Elohim, but also a very good gift. Also, it gave us direction where to go. Now we know, after this consultation, now we know that this universe is going towards the Sabbath. So it gives us direction where history is, what we should do. That's wonderful gift and consultation. But it also opened up, since it talk in plural, so we said it opened up idolatry. So people will think that each attribute is different. And that led in history that some party, especially in our time and in our time, some worship mercy and some other worship Elohim. But I want to show you what we said about the passion. The idolatry is involved also the passionate aspect. Last time we spoke only about the intellectual separation of the attribute, and that error led to any idolatry. Like any idolatry, even at that level, just division between attributes, and led each party to fall down the cascade from idolatry, adultery, bloodshed. That's why I brought the flood and theft. We talked about this last time, but now I want to exercise you, to show you the passionate side, because worshiping, let's say, mercy, as a passionate way. It's not just an error. Mercy attracts us. The worship of, if you worship mercy only, It's a tremendous, tremendous attraction. Mercy. The mother with the child holding the balbasan. Who is the person who will see that picture and won't fall in love with that mother and child? Passion of mercy. I show me from Enosh time until today, everyone who see that, understand that, will immediately fall in love with it. Who will not? So passion, so it's a passion involved in the worshiping of mercy. And of course, to do her work, fill your heart with warmth and a sense of completion, and you feel wonderful. And that's a good feeling. But since you disregard Elohim, you commit adultery, so Enosh time experienced it. They fell down from that kind of, it's not very pious, but it's to deteriorate it to become worse and worse and worse. It became heinous crime and so on, under the name of mercy. So it's a passion involved in it, not just error. And the passion actually attracts you even more to that kind of sort of error. It become a thing that you love. On the other hand, look at those who are on the other side. Like in the worship Elohim only, the harsh Elohim. Oh, that's a fascinating aspect also. Who is not going to be fascinated by this image of the mighty God that punish all the sin right away? I'm going to swear, I put my sword and I will fight for God. I will kill all the infidels. I will punish all the sinner in a minute. Oh, it fills my heart when I do that. I feel so good. I'm strong. Look at the Taliban. I will cover all my women up to here because I want to make another step to avoid adultery. I'm so passionate about adultery. So I will cover my woman. And I will cut the head of anyone who rejects it without blinking an eye. Because I walk in Elohim, in Allah's word, in Allah's food. Fill your heart with strength, with power. Look at those warriors. They will kill themselves readily. Because it's a passionate thing. No less than passion of worship mercy. Only that if you follow that line, you become so cruel that you end up killing each other, like in Noahide time. And that's what they do in Syria and other places. Look where the most bloodshed today is shed by those warriors who fight fire for Allah. One story struck me, I want to mention it, in Saudi Arabia. I don't, not that I hate them, I don't hate them, but this story struck in my mind years ago. There was a fire in a major city, maybe in Riyadh, a fire in a girls' school. There were about 150 girls, elementary school. So the fire broke out, and the girls tried to escape. They ran to the gate, and the fire was so strong it almost reached them. And they were crying to get out. Now there was one guard, older guard. He stood by the gate, and he did not allow them to run out. Why? Because it didn't cover the face. They were running out from the school in a hurry, and they forgot to put the head cover. All of them perished, burned alive. And he stood there and he saw that. You see, in the name of Allah. And I thought he would be executed. No, the government actually exalted him. He's very pious. It's amazing. So this is what we're talking about. I'm sure that this person felt very pious. He would give his life to Elohim, so the girl will die for Elohim, for Allah. They die for Allah, they go straight to Eden. They are martyrs. in his eye. He did the right thing because he didn't have any mercy in his heart. So here it is. Here what we're talking, that each idolatry is not just an error of a logical error, intellectual error for some scholars sitting there debating 1, 2, or 3, or what is it? It's a passionate thing that involves all mankind, all the followers of this myth or that story. They all fall trapped into a certain culture and a certain belief that actually they pay for it. Because each party, the terror, the amazing, even the merciful one, and Allah, both of them, genocide and kind side, each one of them deteriorated straight down to bloodshed. That made Noah said, wow, in that case, we are all destined to repeat the story. And the only thing that can save it is believing in oneness. But if humanity will repeat this division again, which it may take time, but he is sure that the attraction to follow either one or the other is so great that they will follow this attraction. A point for you to think. I thought about it. Oneness has no attraction in it. When I say Elohim one is one, you know what? There is I understand it, but there's no passion in it. It doesn't involve any passion in me, any certain kind of complete losing my mind. Whereas if I err and I follow either Elohim or either YHWH alone, suddenly there is a passion involved in it. Which I said, the greater the idolatry, the more passionate you become. Because the passion actually allures you, trap you to follow that idol. You feel good. You don't feel good when worship oneness. The only thing you feel is the truth. There's nothing magic about truth. Just the fact that it's true. I cannot take the truth and dance with it in the street and say, I have a message for you. I kiss my neighbors, I have a message for you. No, I know the truth is the truth. What can I do? It's truth. So oneness is truth. And Elohim is actually truth. Elohim is seek truth. So the Torah is truth because it's oneness. And that involves passion, but it's a different type of passion. It's a holy passion. It's a passion that you see in Jews. For instance, somebody said to me one time, years ago when I was young, he said, look at the Jews dancing with the Torah. You know, the Christian never dance with the Bible. The Arabs, they dance with the sword. Look at them. The sword is all the time up. The only one, they don't dance with the Quran. They dance with the sword. Then Muhammad beside in the sword. The Christians love the Bible, but they don't dance with it. The only one who dances with it, the Torah is this Israel, Jews. They dance with Torah. And look at the dance. Nobody get drunk. I mean, the custom to get drunk is only lately. It's not part of the story of Simchat Torah, dancing with the Torah in Sukkot. Dancing with the Torah with holiness, with shattering, with fear and holiness. Look at the face of the people who dance with the Torah. They are lighted by happiness, inner happiness. It's not passion, it's a different sort of passion. There is no word to describe it. You cannot, it's beyond words. The only thing that you can be sure that these people will not fall into the cascade of what we're talking about, come on down the road. Those two parties, they will. The one who hold the truth, they may be passionate about the truth. They are happy, they dance because they are happy the truth is with them. They are happy because to be cling to the real God, to cling to the real God of Israel is silent, is a sense of holiness. It's a different type of, it cannot be described of word. If you can feel it only when you do that. When you learn Torah, when you come to close to Hashem. I pause here. I'll tell you what we're gonna continue next week, God willing. We talk about the passionate side of idolatry, and we are actually stuck, so to speak, in the making of Adam. So everything we said so far, birth of idolatry, is part of the story of Adam creation. So Moses continued to tell us who are the idols. The idols are those who Elohim consulted with making us. So it's going to tell us a story about how Adam was created. The story that is going to tell us about Adam is like unintentional. He's not focusing on that. He's focusing on idolatry. But on the side, he gives us a story about Adam creation that is unbelievable, real, scientifically right. I have never seen any description of how Adam is built better than what Moses is saying. What is he saying is just how Adam is built level by level, what makes us. And what he says is so accurate. It's like a continuation, like we talk about the sixth day, how it's accurate. It's also accurate about making Adam. And especially when you realize he lived 35 centuries ago. 35 centuries ago. And we know what other people in his time told about making Adam. And I can give you a short synopsis of what they say. What they say has nothing to do with what Moses is saying. And what they say has nothing to do with science. It's our understanding in our century what Moses is going to tell us as a byproduct. He's going to tell us about idolatry, all sorts of idols that we are built to face by this consultation. But finally, as the picture is unfolded, you find, wow, he was telling me how I'm built, what material I'm built, what is my mind, what planted in my mind, what is my heart, what is my heart. He's going to tell me that. Better than any other psychologist. So we talk about this next time, and we continue to build the idea of idolatry. And as a byproduct, we'll learn how Adam is made. Okay, now, any other question? Any question, I pause here.